buy a home here. I like this neighborhood, and I want to make this place my home. So I ended up buying a place in 2008 and lived there ever since. Put a lot of work into it. Had my water pipe break last year on me. If you've ever experienced that, it's not a pleasant experience at all. But I thank you all for coming out tonight. I'm trying to get more involved in the community. I work for the Department of Defense as a civilian right now at Quantico. I used to be an investigator. I used to be a professor. I used to work in diplomatic security with the State Department. So I've done a little bit of everything. You know, this is really my opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself, and hopefully you'll be satisfied with what you hear. My goal, my obligation is to serve the community here in Lake Ridge, and again, I want to thank you all for coming out, and if you have any questions at the end, nothing is off limits. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Neil.
All right, well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to the community tonight. I'd like to say that I'm here tonight and I'm running for the board because I think it's important that Lake Ridge continues to be an attractive and safe community where families thrive, where well-maintained homes reflect pride of ownership and properties hold their value, keeping the association financially sound and stable, maintaining the facilities and common areas, and offering desirable amenities will ensure the quality of life for our community. My fellow candidates Hala and Chris share these views. One amenity that I'm interested in seeing developed is the Lake Ridge Trail. Back in early 2011, 3 things came together to set the groundwork for moving ahead on the trail. The first of these was that the Lake Ridge Association included on the ballot that year, on the election ballot, a question about the trail, and the response to that was they asked homeowners if they were in favor of establishing an agreement with the county and building a trail. The response to that was overwhelmingly positive. 80% said yes to that. And then secondly, the county presented the trail agreement to the association that spring as well. And the third thing that happened was that the county put substantial amounts of money, or planned to put it in the budget for trail projects all over the county, including Lake Ridge. So now, nearly 3 years later, we're finally close, I think, to getting that trail agreement. And it could have happened earlier, could have happened more quickly. It's a project I would be very happy to work on if elected to the board.
Thank you, Neil. Aggie?
Thank you. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity. And I moved here from Boston. I've been living in Lake Ridge for 13 years. And I'm running for the board, I have to confess, because I got a ballot, a vote for something through the board. And I went, I don't even know what's going on. I am not involved. And I decided that I needed to step up to my responsibilities and participate and communicate. And I've been here for 13 years. I should have done this a while ago. So that's one of the reasons I'm running. I also believe that we're all stakeholders in this. You know, whatever happens to the community, we're here, we're part of it. And our responsibility is to be a good citizen, be a stakeholder, do the right thing, support our neighbors, and support our community. I'm committed to doing a good job and to supporting the board and make Lake Ridge sustain the nice place it is, but also help improve and make it better. I have a business background. I've worked in a lot of IT, project management, all those crazy things that most of us have done. Right now, I think I'm retired. I'm not sure. You know, some days, like when the sun's out, I am. Days like today, not so much. So I have the time, and I've had some other changes. So I have some time, and I'm willing to make the commitment. And I think that's kind of sums me up. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave?
Thank you, Moderator Mallard, very much. Thank you, everybody here, for coming out this evening. Thank you, Comcast, and the thousands of viewers. And I want you to know that I'm glad they're staying up watching. My name is Dave Fram, as we said, and I've been on the board for 15 years. During that time, I've worked on with many different volunteers on the board, and everyone's goal was to help the community by giving a fair and honest approach to LRPRA's issues and problems. I have enjoyed working with these people, with these men and women so much that I continued to run for re-election. We have tackled many difficult situations, from parking problems to document updates to cost controls and so forth. And our work was always done with the best interest of Lake Ridge residents in mind. In my 15 years on the board of directors, I have not been offered or accepted any campaign funds for me running for office, nor have any of the board members that I work with, that I'm aware of, have ever accepted any campaign funds to come on the board as a volunteer organization. Recently, a group has financed the campaign of candidates that are running for office and running for a volunteer position on the board. One of the purposes of this group is to fill the board with members committed to the group's point of view. And their approach to inserting these candidates on the board is to send out flyers and post ads in newspapers that are blatantly false or misleading. And I would ask tonight each candidate, when they have a chance, when it's their turn, to say whether they are receiving financial aid for their campaign or they're not, and how much they are getting, and from who. And the last question I'd have is, in addition to that, I'd like to know why is there such a campaign to put people on the board for a volunteer organization? You keep in mind now, there's 9 independent board members, and that gets all points of view throughout the community. If you start loading the board of directors up,
Please sum up.
okay. I think the point I'm making is you don't want to load up the board. Thank you very much.
Chris.
Well, thank you again for coming, and thank you Comcast for being here, and thank you people at home for watching. I hope you find this meeting helpful. I'm beginning to think it's going to be quite helpful. Every homeowner and lot owner pays an assessment to LRPRA. The 2014 assessment is $428 plus subdivision and trash collection fees. It's the board's job to provide good value and services in return for these payments. I'm convinced that the board can provide a better value to the homeowner and bring a halt to the inevitable yearly 5% assessment increase. The Lake Ridge Board needs to have people with vision, people who can chart a direction for our community in the years ahead. But the board also has to deal with the present, like the immediate issue of presenting the revised governing documents before the homeowners for a vote of approval. The Lake Ridge Board has been working on revising the governing documents for 5 years now, and during this time has run up an astounding $825,000 in legal fees. The committee that was established to draft a revision to the governing documents completed its work exactly 2 years ago. Since then, your board has done nothing. Not even a date for vote is on the schedule. In fact, the revision of the governing documents no longer gets mentioned at board meetings. I am pleased to be joined in this election by Hala Ayala and Neil Nelson. Together, we will provide homeowners with a good governance slate of candidates determined to seek the best for the Lake Ridge homeowner. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Marie?
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you all for coming tonight. I know how precious time is to everyone. I am Marie Pelletier, and I call Lake Ridge my home. My husband and I have lived here for 27 of the 40 years that the Lake Ridge Association has been in existence. To paraphrase President Kennedy, ich bin ein Lake Ridger. Our 4 children have grown up here, attended local schools, married in Lake Ridge, and some of our children and grandchildren still live here. I have a vested interest in the success of this community. My experience over the past 40 years has been wide and varied. From Virginia to Germany and back to Virginia, I have always been involved in my community, no matter where I lived. As a member of the Parish Council of St. Elizabeth Seton Church, I was vice president for 1 year and then president for 2 years. I served on this council for over 20 years. Also, I was an active member of the Catholic Business Network for several years and was twice elected to serve as president. Recently, I completed a 2-year term as a member of the board of directors for John Paul II High School. I am a graduate of Cabrini College in Radnor, Pennsylvania. My professional career has also been wide and varied. From Germany, I worked for American Express, introducing new financial programs, and then to the United States, where I worked at church as a business and office manager for over 23 years. I have been retired for only 1 year. I am a candidate for a volunteer position for the board of directors. My experiences have enabled me to listen, respect, and compromise in dealing with sensitive issues that are of concern to the people. This will also help me to provide homeowners the representation that they are entitled to. I will seek a balance between the preferences of the individual residences and the collective rights of homeowners. I will respect and preserve the rights and interests of homeowners. I will act within the boundaries of my position. I will give an educated opinion. I will use sound judgment. I will keep the best interest of the association. I will listen. I will seek out the facts. I will be open and answer questions to the best of my ability. I will work to make the operation and collaboration between homeowners and the board of directors as smooth as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dave?
Hello, everybody. My name's Dave Kaufman. I am one of the candidates I'm running for re-election. I'm ending up a 3-year term on the existing board. I have been a resident here since approximately '89. If I do the math, that's 25 years. I'm also a realtor here in Prince William County, Northern Virginia, and coincidentally, I do a lot of business in our neighborhood. Guess what? I have a vested interest in this place. I like it. Something that seems to have been not put forward is the board of directors is made up of 9 people just like you, if not you, your neighbors. Everything that the board of directors does is we are in charge of policy-making decisions for our community, and then our very professional staff, who we pay for, affects those decisions. We up here are responsible, should we be re-elected, or 3 of us hopefully, and anything that we vote for, it impacts us just as much as everybody else out there in the audience. And I've always kept in mind that rule number 1 for anything we do is do no harm, think about what we're doing, and try to come up with the best decision between 9 people. That's ultimately what it comes down to, but that also means that things don't get done overnight. If any of you have ever been affiliated with a very large organization, sometimes it takes a little bit to get the pencil sharpened. I'd like to continue working with the board while I've been on the board. We got the dog park, the first one in Prince William County, accomplished using LRPA resources and Parks and Rec Association resources. We have fought our way through some very tricky issues as regarding this trails commentary that's been done here. And we are just about at the end game of this document rewrite for our 40-year-old community, and rewriting the documents that govern our community and kind of bringing them into the 21st century. All of this takes a little bit of time and effort to get all this done. I would like to continue the process I've been working on for the last 3 years and see some of this get done. I calculate by my figures, I probably donated about 60 hours of my time to our association, and the only thing I really got out of it, beyond the satisfaction of knowing that I was doing a good job, is a lot of mediocre coffee. I'm done.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good evening. My name is Hala Ayala, and I want to thank you for allowing me to partake in this event. I'd like to thank our neighbors, our board members, our current board members, and Comcast Network. Over the last several weeks, I reached out to my neighbors expressing my reasons I'd like to be part of this board, as well as expressing some of my concerns, such as assessment increases, spending, and future visions for Lake Ridge. In return, my neighbors responded by sharing their vision and what changes they are seeking as homeowners. Responses varied from cost to maintenance to conveyance enforcement. While speaking to many of our community members, it gave me the insight, the motivation, and encouragement to run. I had to take in consideration, just as many of our board members have said here, this is volunteer work. You know, it's hard work, it's personal time. However, you know, knowing your community is very important. It's like a part of your family. It's an extension of your own personal home. I'd like to touch on the topic of annual assessments. The majority of our community thinks that the assessments are high with little return. Did you know that LRPRA has supported over the past few years the maximum allowable yearly assessment increase of 5% and has proposed a higher increase in the amended documents? Did you know that we have legal expenses that Chris mentioned earlier that currently equal over $500K in a 3-year time span? I agree with my neighbors that we want Lake Ridge to be viable, welcoming, and a safe community. But if those dollars going out and they're not coming back to our community, then something has to be done. We can use common sense approaches such as analyzing our current budget, seeing where amendments or reductions can be made before asking our community members for more money. We can also recommend that we have more than one solution available, asking our homeowners' input, our neighbors' input. And we can ask them how we would like to apply those assessments, ask them for their ideals, ask them to be a participant in this process. As Dave said, this is not something that can happen overnight. That's unrealistic to think. But if we just extend ourselves a little bit more, work a little bit harder, and allow more homeowner involvement, I'm sure you would agree, as do my fellow running mates, Christopher Berry and Neil Nelson, we can work to utilize our current budget, lower costs, and find workarounds that bring back the vital heartbeat that once existed in Lake Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you for your opening remarks. So at this point, we're going to we have 3 questions from the nominating committee to ask each of you. And as I said, later in the program, you will have an opportunity to answer questions from Lake Ridge Parks and Recreation Association homeowners that are here in the audience. So let me quickly tell you, we're going to do a random order on all the questions. So we're going to mix things up here. So we're going to start with Dave Fram, and then we're going to go to Chris Berry, then Hala, then Marie, then Neil, then John, then Aggie, and then Dave Kaufman, just to give you an idea of how that's going to flow out. We don't want the same person, as I said, going first every time, or the same person going last. So, Dave, if you would start with this question. The LRPRA board is in the process of creating mission and vision statements and is working towards implementing a strategic plan. What is your vision of Lake Ridge for the next 5 years, 10 years, and what types of changes do you see occurring within the community?
What I see in the future is pretty much, I would like to see the documents passed and that be a success, as we've worked hard on that. It was, Reston also had a problem of doing that. It took them a while too, to do their documents. Documents are hard to change because of they were done very well, but things have changed and they need to be done. The second thing is, I think in the future, and it all has to do with home values maybe, is making sure that this community stays a nice community, as looks nice, and the community and the houses and everything are taken well care of. And that's really falls under making sure that we have a good support of the architectural committee. Because they are the ones out there looking at the community and making sure that we keep up to standards. And that part of it is the real hallmark of our association. If we look down the road, we make sure that if that stays the way, these homes will stay up, and it's a very nice community the way it is. You know, one of the things that has come through the paper, it says is, on the for the architecture committee, a candidate said they have heard that a list is kept of those who call about their neighbors' issues, and by the number of times they call, they bring that person on board as a member of the architectural committee. Don't know where that came from. All I know is that one of the things that we do, the Board of Directors has with the Architectural Committee is we vote on the candidates that are going to be on the Architectural Committee and give our approval. And all throughout all the years, I've never seen anything where it indicates pick this person. As a matter of fact, we're on our own. We give the list of people, we vote on it, and that's how they get on board. There's nothing about any other way that I know of, and it's done. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Chris? Mary,
During the next 5 years, Lake Ridge, in my opinion, will remain a best value place to buy a home and raise a family, because we have safe streets, we've got effective schools, we've got low-density housing, amenities such as pools and trails and nearby parks. We have access to the Occoquan River, and we have no chain-link fences in the front yards. And for all of this, our homes are priced well within most family budgets. And not least, we also have top-quality people on the association staff, for which we are very, very fortunate. As for the next 10 years, I have no doubt that in 10 years, Lake Ridge will remain a best value place to live. One difference, of course, is that in 10 years from now, the annual assessment will be nearing $800 a year, especially if the board continues to increase the annual assessment to the maximum allowable amount. I would expect that long before then, however, homeowners will start to push back and refuse to elect to the board those who either won't cut costs or who always vote for a maximum assessment increase. As to the type of changes occurring in the community, we will face increasing competition from new developments, especially as they offer increasing amenities such as trails, recreational access to rivers, nature preserves, jogging trails, open spaces, and vegetable gardens. Lake Ridge will have to stay competitive, releasing more common areas to recreational use. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Paula?
Thank you. Well, I'm a proud homeowner. I love Lake Ridge. Lake Ridge was always one of those communities where you just felt connected to. I remember riding the bus from Woodbridge and saying, I'm going to live there one day. I mean, Lake Ridge had this zeal about it. And I just feel like, as a homeowner, I've been here for some time, for the last 10 years, that I just feel that it's lost that zeal. You know, it's just been stagnant for way too long. As Chris mentioned, we have so many developing new homes that have like state-of-the-art amenities, and our homes seem to be being overshadowed by that, if you will. It's just becoming, those erecting buildings around us are just becoming, you know, increasingly more state-of-the-art, and we've got to keep in competition with that. We have to become more visible. In the next 5 to 10 years, we need to rekindle that fire that once made us the go-to community. As soon as you drive into our community or enter it, you should know you have arrived in Lake Ridge. Adding updated scenic amenities such as our pools and trails, maybe even updating our toddler playgrounds can and will make Lake Ridge a more inviting community. It's truly tough to contend with upcoming communities that have some of the state-of-the-art amenities. Additionally, we need to think about our community members. Assessments are our contribution to our community, and I'd like to think that we get the most out of those contributions, as well as reduce the assessment fees. Thank you.
Thank you. Marie?
Thank you. Oh, our vision for Lake Ridge. In living here 27 years, believe me, we have seen growth. We have seen many positive things. We love it here. Our children, as I said before, have grown up here. I consider 3 factors in the vision for Lake Ridge. A 5 to 10 year vision is just a continuity of what is happening now. But I believe we should promote, enhance, and protect what we have. In protecting what we have, what currently exists, all of our amenities. We have our home values, our homeowners' rights, our pools, our playgrounds, our courts, our walking trails. These all should be protected. and we need to have a board that is willing to do that. As far as our assessments go, in doing some research, I have found that really Lake Ridge has the lowest assessment of many surrounding areas. Old Bridge Estates is the highest. Burke Conservancy is right up there. Montclair, 510. Westridge, 548. Reston, 590. And Lake Ridge, 428. We have the lowest assessment of many surrounding areas. And I believe that the assessments that we have go to protecting what Lake Ridge has right now. As far as enhancing goes, also in the continuity, what currently exists, we should enhance what we have, the activities, the pools, the special events, the sports, the summer camps. I have known some board members over the years, Dick Lee, Sonia Haug, and Doug O'Brien. I have valued their opinions and trusted their decisions. It has been my experience that when individuals gather together with a purpose and a goal in mind, one idea builds upon the other. This is enhancing what currently exists. Our authority lies with the homeowners, and the homeowners elect the board of directors to act on their behalf in enhancing this area. Also promoting our area. Again, in being consistent with the 5 to 10 year plan, what currently exists, we should promote that. We should develop a strong sense of spirit and pride in our community among residents. We should be understanding of the problems that all of us face as homeowners. We should promote and be more diligent in faithful service with a commitment to uphold high ethical standards. Okay. What would the homeowner want me to do, and what would the homeowner want to know? Thank you.
Thank you. Neil.
As Wayne mentioned, the strategic planning process is underway, and I participated in several of those meetings, and I'm aware of the work that's going on developing the strategic plan. I think that's a worthwhile effort to think about the goals and direction, and to look ahead and anticipate opportunities and challenges that we might encounter. In the short term, and you won't be surprised to hear me say this, I would be delighted to see the approval of the trail agreement and begin building the trail. The Parks Department said it may take us 5 years to plan and build the different segments of the trail. As a board member, I'd be more than willing to work with the Parks Department, the association staff, and homeowners to complete that project, and hopefully do it in a shorter time. It's something that many members of the community will use and enjoy. For the longer term, we should note that Lake Ridge benefits from being located near the Occoquan Reservoir and having extensive common areas that weren't developed, where the trees were left undisturbed and where the land was left in a natural state. The homeowners enjoy the proximity to the water and the woods. That's what attracted many home buyers to Lake Ridge in the first place. And that's something that should not change. The association is a steward of those areas now and responsible for protecting them. We need to recognize their value in making Lake Ridge an attractive community, as well as their environmental benefit to the community, the larger community. And I would like to note that the county, Public Works, has just completed a study of the Occoquan watershed, including much of Lake Ridge area. They're having a meeting next week on Tuesday to present the results of that study. It's something that I will be very interested in hearing about, and I hope that you will too.
Thank you. John.
Yes, I really think the next 5 to 10 years, when looking at a vision and a mission for Lake Ridge, needs to look outward beyond 10 years, perhaps to 30 years. When I was at Radford University, we did a 30-year strategic plan. And I think a 30-year strategic plan would be beneficial to Lake Ridge, because it doesn't just preserve what we have today, but it ensures that we preserve that for future generations to come, if we want our children and our grandchildren to also live and make home the Lake Ridge community. I'd also encourage more utilization of the Lake Ridge website when looking at crafting a vision for our community, taking multiple core values and allowing the community, allowing the citizens of the community to come together and have a say in that matter. I know it's very difficult in many cases for citizens and the residents here to get to the meetings, and they may not be in tune with what is going on in the community. But if they were able to utilize the website more for online voting, or perhaps saying, hey, these are the 5 core values that speak most to me and how I feel about Lake Ridge and how I feel about this community and what I want to see in the future of this community, turning back that ownership over to the residents here in Lake Ridge, I think is extremely important when looking at the vision and the mission that we have in the community moving forward. I also believe we need to reevaluate the amenities that we currently have and look at any future amenities that we could include in the community, and also discuss the possibility of establishing a capital fund. In many cases, individuals want to contribute more to their community. Individuals have the financial means to do so, but they don't know how. Giving residents the opportunity to donate to a capital fund, which would allow us to look at ways to enhance our community moving forward with additional amenities, and continuing to work the Lake Ridge Trail and also some of the other improvements that have been going on recently with the inclusion of sidewalks and some of the more cosmetic changes that we've been making.
Thank you, John. Anki?
When I think about living in Lake Ridge and in the community, I have to say I'm pretty content with the way things are. I personally think we get value for the fees that we pay. I know when it snows, I look out the window and somebody's taking care of it. I just think that it's nice. We have access to things. I just think it's a really good value for me personally and for other people in the community. Looking forward, I think cost containment and cost efficiencies are always a concern for everybody, whether you're in business or not. But I think that we can make some gains, as John had said, in actually utilizing the web and other virtual tools that are available to us to communicate with people, let people feel that they're part of the solution, and kind of a little bit of a theme that I may have heard here tonight is, you know, we don't know what's going on. People don't, I have to talk to my neighbors to find out what the issues are. I think we can solve some of that by just becoming more virtual. I mean, when I think about when I moved here 13 years ago, you never saw anybody walking on the street texting. That's the way we communicate today. And I think if we don't get on board with that and leverage that technology, we're going to lose out on that. We're going to become a senior community, which is kind of okay with me because I'm there. But there are other, we want to attract, newer people, new ideas. And I think that there's a lot of opportunity for us to gain some advantages there. I also think that, participation in the community is important, but I also think you need a solid leadership team. You can't have 7.3 thousand people saying, these are my goals, these are my values, these are my objectives. You have to kind of hone it in and what your vision is and how you're going to meet it and how you're going to measure performance, and all of those things come together. So I think it's kind of a broad stretch to think that, even if only 10% of those people participate, that's still over 700 people that have different values. And we've all been there where you're in a meeting and somebody goes, oh, you need to put a comma after that. And you're like, oh. So I don't think that that's necessarily the best approach, but I do think we can do some things with the web. I also think as we sort of the challenges, I'm talking a bit fast, but some of the challenge I see are the growth around us and the diversity in the community and offering things that attract people from other genders, other ages, different lifestyles, all of those things that come together. Okay. I think conserving our environment and greening our areas. And I also think the bigger concern is some of the things we need to do have to be around safety and security of the people that live here and the people that move in. Thank you.
Dave Kaufman.
Aggie, on behalf of the young people in the room, thank you. My vision for Lake Ridge is we are not off track with what we're doing. We are trying to fumble our way like anybody else forward into the future and make relevant decisions. If anybody had a crystal ball, please bring it to me at the end of the meeting. I'd like to have the Powerball numbers for tomorrow night. But my vision for Lake Ridge, quite frankly, is if we say Reston, if we say Fort Washington, if we say Vienna, we all have a mindset. All those communities are very old, but we all recognize that there are areas like, hey, those are nice communities. Quite frankly, as a realtor, it's about, I study populations, I study demographics, I study desirable neighborhoods. eventually, I would like to see Lake Ridge up there in that Pantheon, and as people are driving by to their new home community down the highway or down the Prince William Parkway, in the back of their mind, I'd like them to think, wow, I wish I lived there. You could be home already. Quite frankly, Lake Ridge already is that place. I would like to see us maintain it. I would like to see our wide boulevards that no builder today builds still be in great shape. I would like to see our lawn care being taken care of. If you look around on a summer's day around here, our median strips look fantastic. We have people, I see a father jogging down the road pushing the twin stroller. You don't see that one very often. You see people walking their dogs. You see kids playing in our common areas. To me, this is my community. This is what I call home. My 4-year-old, I want her to grow up here and have that same thing. Unfortunately, I will be sitting at the doorstep when she introduces me to the boyfriend. I want that. I look forward to that. That's my vision for Lake Ridge. There's a lot of things that go into that, and I'm willing to donate my time to try to figure out the answers to keep us on what I think is the right track. Part of a functioning board, though, up here, the way we're structured is we have 9 differing viewpoints. When these 9 people get together, we don't always have the same opinion, and quite frankly, sometimes the arguments get a little interesting. But by the end of it, we get a quorum, we get a group together, and the rest of us go, okay, that's not my opinion, but I recognize the argument, and we stumble forward with the subject at hand. And the idea is we're doing it for our good as well as everybody else's good.
Dave, please.
Yes, Peter?
Thank you. For the second question, Hala Ayala, Dave Kaufman, Marie Pelletier, Chris Berry, Dave Fram, Aggie McLean, Neil Nelson, and John Massey. Okay, we're going to come back. All right? So the second question for our candidates tonight, what do you think LRPRA can do to improve homeowner property values? Hala.
Well, this is something that really has to be thought out and well prepared. I don't think that, I have the immediate answer, but I do have some ideals. And as an elected member of the board, if elected, I would like to work with the current board members. I would like to develop a plan that would be assisting our community and developing a more appealing, maybe landscape, updating our amenities, such as Neil mentioned a couple of minutes ago about the completion of our trails. All these suggestions will help us update our already aging community, as well as increase our home values. When you make the community feel a sense of worth, that's a value, and it adds value to our community. I believe that we should also partner up with our surrounding schools. This translates into outreach programs. I'd like to work with the current board members to develop an outreach committee. Those committees would be composed of our schools and their students, parents and scouts, and educators and community members to partake in community-managed events. A sense of community has a value that surpasses the dollar. So I think that would also add value to our community. It's not just about the aesthetics that we have currently and some of the things that we can think that the board can do, but also having our homeowners interact and offer their suggestions and recommendations will add value to Lake Ridge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dave Kaufman.
Property values, once again, hi, Eagle Realtor. They're a very interesting thing. The board in and of itself is responsible for setting policy to run Lake Ridge, to deal with the common elements, and to look at our entire community. We all elected to, when we moved in here, we all got a chance, hopefully, to look at the governing covenants documents and say, wow, there's a series of rules here that, for whatever reason, mirror my value system, and I think this is a great idea. I don't have my neighbor's 42-foot RV sticking in his front yard. I don't have the guy on the other side with 3 F-350 diesels with the engines being torn apart, and he's running an auto garage out of his backyard. We all chose to live here for the elements and the value system that these documents created. We do have some areas and houses, individual houses in here. On any given street there might be a blighted house. I know the Architectural Review Committee is basically considered to be the evil ones, but if we just basically agreed to live by the rules that we all agreed to when we moved in, that right there will help us. Personally, I hear rumors out there. I think if we all slap Mike May around and get the County Board of Commissioners to get the Metro to come down 95 to Woodbridge like they talk about, yay. But we're not on the bad track. We are well run. We are in the black financially, barely. We are making up for a traumatic fire 10 years ago that obliterated the utilities department. A lot of folks don't know that. And after that occurred, it turned out that we were underinsured, and we took a significant hit for that, and we have been recouping that, and we're almost done. And in a few years, we might be at a point where we can not do the increases that have been occurring because we have been fiscally conservative and responsible to this point. I think all of those things add to a well-run community that other people, as they drive by, go, wow, I would like to live there.
Thank you, Dave.
Did I do well? Did I make the time?
Pretty much,
Okay,
pretty
cool.
close.
All right, thank you.
Marie Pelletier?
Well, basically, Dave, I agree with you with most of what you said. I do believe that the association must be active in representing the property owners and, most important, protecting home values. Some of the main items that have a positive impact on home values are the conditions around the homes themselves, how they're maintained, how they're kept, and also the neighborhood-wide conformity to the covenants. We have these covenants, as Dave said, to protect us, our neighbors, from anything that is really unsightly. So we really do want to keep that going. I believe the association would be doing its job by responding in a fair, equal, and prompt enforcement of the rules of the covenant. Homeowners see this as a main obligation of the association, and we as candidates and possible members of the board must provide the homeowners with as much valuable input for their assessments, whether it's matters of the budgets, improvements, care and maintenance of the common areas, and so forth. And that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chris Berry.
Well, I like Marie's ideas, and I like Dave's ideas and Hala's. Let me offer one suggestion that will have, I believe, a direct effect on improving property values in Lake Ridge. From Highway 123 in the east to Prince William Parkway in the west, Old Bridge Road stretches for about 5 miles. And within that, 2.5 miles of that run through Lake Ridge, kind of right in the middle there. In fact, Old Bridge Road becomes Lake Ridge's main street. So here's a tremendous opportunity to showcase Lake Ridge, provide what real estate people call curb appeal. Where Old Bridge Road runs through Lake Ridge, LRPRA should fully adopt that street. The median in Lake Ridge portion of Old Bridge Road should be attractively landscaped and maintained by LRPRA. Landscaping the median of Old Bridge Road would be a visible reminder of why Lake Ridge is different, why Lake Ridge is better. A landscaped Main Street showcases our community. And such landscaping wouldn't have to be done all at once. This could be a multi-year project. It could be carried out well within LRPRA's $4 million annual budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Fram, please.
It gets back to the Architectural Committee, and it gets back to the Covenants Department. To me, that has always been the strength of our community, to keep the housing values up. If you don't have that, if you don't have people monitoring other people's homes and seeing that they're staying up to standards, you just have a community like some of the other run-of-the-mill communities. And that is a key part of what our staff does and the Architectural Committee does to make sure that the people keep to the standards. If you keep that going, and be strong about it, and make sure people know that if they don't follow suit, they'll be taken to court, and there'll be fines involved. If they don't pay their fines, there'll be liens, and we'll follow through. we'll do okay in the future by keeping and the home values will fall into place. My goodness, we have everything else. We got 5 pools and a spray ground, and we got parks and the trails coming through, hopefully, and we got tennis. We got everything. You know, we have once you get off 95 and you get on that stretch of Old Bridge, it's a real nice community, and it takes some money to take it care of, but we're not way out of bounds, and it's stayed the course. It has stayed the course. I think it's done very well, and I think that's what we need to do.
Thank you, Dave. Aggie McClain?
Okay. In agreement with most of what has been said here. Actually, I like living in Lake Ridge. I think it always looks nice. I think there's value. I think people don't necessarily know that we're here because when you're on Old Bridge Road, your destination is usually to work or home from work, and if you don't live here, you don't know about it. But I also think that sort of the responsibility to increase or sustain property values really relies on us as homeowners. And that's doing things like, ask the architectural committee before you make a change. Just don't do it. It's watching out for your neighbors. It's if you see something that you know isn't like it should be and you can't solve it with your neighbor, try to get these things to the board before they become real issues and problems. But I think that the thing we have here, one of the values that we have we have a sense of community. We can create the need by what we tell people about our community. We can build that need. This is a nice place to live. We should be telling people that. An innovative way to market is what we say about the community. And that's really what I think. I think it's up to us as homeowners to build the value of the property. The association certainly can support us and help us, but the message is what your house looks like every day and what your neighbor's house looks like and what you do that you don't think the board's going to find out about, or what you do that you're willing to do and deal with the board when they catch you, or whatever your thinking is. But it's really up to us as homeowners. If you want your property value to increase and it's up to you to do that. So I think that's our responsibility.
Thank you. Neil Nelson?
Well, let me start with amenities. HOAs provide services and amenities. Amenities in the community such as a trail, increase property values. Every new development advertises their walking and biking trails. Lake Ridge is in competition with those newer developments that are being built in the county. Potomac Shores, for example, down on Route 1 on the mixed-use development on the Cherry Hill Peninsula, will have a segment of the Potomac Heritage Trail. They'll have bike and walking trails along the major streets, and they will have an extensive network of off-road trails as well. Proximity to parks increases property values. Dog Park is a great example of a partnership that led to creating a desirable amenity, which is well used. But overall, county residents are underserved in the amount of neighborhood parks available to us. We don't meet the county standard for park acreage for the population. In addition, Lake Ridge itself could do some small things to make our large wooded common areas that are near the reservoir more accessible, and possibly establish some destination points such as overlooks and picnic areas out there. But in addition to amenities, a basic purpose of having the HOA is to preserve the property values, and that's done by, as has been mentioned, by establishing policies and rules that govern use of the areas, and by establishing the architectural guidelines controls for aesthetic value, and then enforcing the covenants. Good governance in those areas will maintain property values.
Thank you. John Massey?
I think it's extremely important to maintain the high standards that have been set in place here in Lake Ridge over not just the last few years, but the last 4 decades. If you look at the property values now currently, they have been going up based a lot on not just what Lake Ridge provides, but also the surrounding neighborhood. When you look at the proximity of firehouses, rescue stations, as well as hospitals with the addition of Centera right up the street, that has really had a positive impact on our community. And if you look at the home values for Lake Ridge, I think it's a true testament when you compare home values here versus home values of some of the newer communities off Route 1 that have all the brand new, nice, shiny, fancy amenities. And the fact that In many cases, some of those home values are lower than that in Lake Ridge. So I think we've done a great job of sustaining home values despite the recession we've been in for quite some time now. And I think we can continue to see home values increase based on the decisions that we make. I think the trail moving forward, that's going to help tremendously. I also think we revisit, as I mentioned before, the amenities that we currently have. What can we add? What can we enhance? We need to take that on a case-by-case basis and review that to determine how we want to go about that moving forward. Also, with the addition of sidewalks, especially the one here out on Oak Bridge that's coming by the school, and then some of the other surrounding neighborhoods and surrounding streets, adding in sidewalks, landscaping, and previously mentioned the covenants and the architectural committee adhering to those high standards that have already been put into place. I think all of that is extremely important to not just maintain our current home values, but preserve them and increase them moving forward.
Thank you, John.
Years ago, we built, the community came up with the idea of building the fantasy playground, and it was all built primarily of residents volunteering their time and effort and tools. I still have some tools with the mark on there that says that, and I got it back after it was done. But and that was a big event of people chiming in. So it can be done. It's just a matter of somebody spearheading and getting a drive going. And there are people out there that have certain talents in different areas, in writing and construction and this and that, that can be, though they would like to do this because it would fit into their realms. You just have to find them out.
Thank you, Dave. Aggie McLean?
Okay. I think that, community participation, some people are at different times in their lives, they have different times that they can do things, different priorities, different times that they can't. I think one of the things that would really help, as I mentioned earlier, a virtual website where somebody could go and figure out what's going on. And we talk about the documents updating is a big project. We maybe divide some of those things down into smaller sub-projects with recognizing, achieving some goals instead of waiting to the end and going, wow, isn't that great, we got it done. I think also, as you mentioned, there's talent. There are some people in our community that have pieces of time, but maybe not for a whole project, but they also have some expertise that they'd be willing to share with us and help us and lead some of these activities or pull some things in that would really be helpful. I think recognizing that type of effort as well as the bigger efforts that people do, I think that's recognition is important, and whether it's just a thank you in the newsletter or whatever else it might be. I don't think it necessarily has to have a dollar value, but I think recognizing the people that contribute goes a long way to getting people to contribute. I also think within communities, possibly what I'm going to call team leads, but sort of people in the community that are points of contact for the neighborhood. You tell me, and I'll make it my responsibility to make sure that the people in my cul-de-sac or my area are informed of that. Whether again it's like tap them on the shoulder or I send them an email or whatever it might be. There's also some we have a virtual neighborhood that some people have for Mohegan that some people in my cul-de-sac have joined. It's free, you join the virtual neighborhood, you can yard sales, swap meets, all those kinds of things. The point is it gets people talking, it gets people communicating, you get to know the people in your area. There's 7,000 of us here, I probably know 100, 150 maybe. So I think, getting to know the people, I think that's an important part of just improving things and getting people to participate. It's important to ask people to do it. Ask for help. Thank you.
Thank you, Aggie. Chris Perry.
Maybe I should restate the question. The question was, what can the board do to stimulate more homeowner involvement in the community? And I believe the board could do a much better job of involving the community, and if I'm elected to the board, I'll make it a priority of mine. Take this newsletter. You don't see in here any report of what was accomplished at any board meeting. You don't ever see a report of what was accomplished at any special committee meeting. Moreover, the newsletter has no information about the agenda items of future upcoming meetings. As for the website, the minutes of the meetings are not posted until the minutes have been approved at the subsequent meetings. Consequently, you have to wait 3 months to read the minutes of the quarterly meetings. And guess how long you have to wait to read the minutes of the annual meetings? No information to the homeowner results in no interest from the homeowner. And no interest results in no involvement. Draft minutes should appear on the LRPRA webpage immediately, and agendas should be publicized well before each meeting. With no information provided to homeowners and with the board spending half its time meeting behind closed doors, is it any wonder that there is a reluctance by homeowners to be involved in our community? Thank you.
Thank you. Dave Kaufman.
Boy, we suck. Well, how I can stimulate more interest in the community? Well, my experience over the last 30 years has been that, quite frankly, the only time we get this kind of turnout is when people have gotten scared, like a rumor a couple years ago that the school might be defunded. Oh my stars and garters, I was afraid to pull into the parking lot that night. Or B, we have done something to piss everybody off, which also generally is a rumor too. The rest of the time we are begging you, meaning you, the membership, to please be part and parcel. Everything that occurs in this community, committee meetings are open to the public. Most of the board meetings are open to the public. Virtually everything that occurs is open to the public, with a few exceptions which are actually mitigated and directed by state law. Virginia state law has this thing called the Property Owners Homeowner Association Act that stipulates that a board of directors has to meet behind closed doors for certain subjects. If we're talking to the legal counsel, if we're discussing something that impacts you or your neighbors, maybe a violation or something, if we're discussing employee matters. So there are certain things that we as a board, or if you've ever been a member of a board, you have to have closed doors. But everything else we do, committee meetings, the finance committee meeting, oh my stars and garters, please show up to that one. Whether I get elected or not, people, show up to that meeting, look at those numbers, see how ugly they are. We can't get you all to show up to this stuff and give us your input. We beg, we plead, we try. We have a meeting every 3 months. Guess what? Next meeting we have is 3 months later. That's where we get the minutes from the last one and we go, hey, those are good minutes, let's authorize those and we can publish them. This last year, I honestly think we had more special meetings driven by one particular topic that superseded everything else than we actually had normal meetings. We got accused one time of chopping off people's input in meetings. Well, guess what? I took time out of my life away, my family, to show up that evening to discuss one particular topic. I don't want to listen to the garbage pickup that night. I want to talk about the topic that I'm taking time out of my life for. How do I stimulate? I answer questions at Giant. I can't tell you how many times I've been in the frozen food section at Giant and somebody comes up and says, hey, you're on the board. I go, yes. My wife,
Sum up, please, sum up.
My wife says, where are you? I said, somebody hooked me. I have to go. Bye. Sorry. That's it. Please.
Thank you, Dave. Hala Ayala.
Yes, sir. Homeowner participation and involvement is key to success in any community. We as board members must do our part to stimulate involvement, whether we are connecting with our homeowners on a frequent basis through social media, our direct contact, or by telephone, or maybe in the Giant, as Dave suggested.
The wine section.
The wine section. We have to do our part. You know, your voices are what is important. Your voices being heard is what counts. Showing our progress on projects is also important. You know, using and utilizing our website at its capacity. I'm an IT specialist. I work in IT security. I channel the networks. We work with our websites for vulnerabilities and information. There's ways that we can display information that is not so personal, but display information that shows our projects and our progress and things that we do to improve our community. When you ask homeowners for suggestions, we can follow up with that homeowner, ask them to come sit with us, have coffee, give homeowners the opportunity to participate in community-managed events. I do know that we have homeowners that may help with annual events such as the turkey trot, and even the neighborhood or yearly cleanups that we have. But offer the homeowner the ability to present new ideas and activities that may give the homeowner the opportunity and sense as though they are being included versus excluded. Additionally, transparency is also key. If we, the homeowner, feel that we're not in the loop or aware of meetings or activities that directly impact us, then, the homeowner will have no interest in participation. So we want you to feel as if though your voice counts. We want to drive homeowner participation. There's just no way to build relationships when we don't include you in the process. Also, we need to manage our already existing covenants. We want to enforce or withhold our standards. If we don't enforce and withhold our standards, how do we expect others to? We need to honor our homeowners by honoring our word. Thank you.
Thank you. John Massey.
Yes, I believe that we need to leverage technology when we look at outreach and getting more community members involved. I mentioned before better utilization of the website and really turning the ownership of the community back over to the residents. Sample ballots, putting issues up, letting homeowners vote on certain issues on the website and bringing that information into the meetings saying this is what the constituents, this is what the residents of the community want, this is what they want to see, this is what they're concerned about. Essentially maybe doing a survey of the community, listing out a series of issues, a series of concerns, and letting the homeowners rank those issues. What is of the utmost concern for you? And really being more in touch with the community in that regard by getting that feedback back directly. So utilizing the website, Facebook, Twitter, even text message notifications if we would have the ability to do that, where individuals could sign up and say, hey, I want to know what's going on in Lake Ridge. I want to know when the next meeting is. I want to know when the next event is. And having the capacity to allow residents to say, hey, I just got a text. This actually works. And this is going on tonight at 7 o'clock. I want to go participate in that. I think all of those things are extremely important. And also looking at different groups, different demographics, possibly considering the establishment of a youth group or a young adult group, really getting younger generations within our community more involved. What are they concerned with? What do they care about? Because sometimes there may be a disconnect in the home where kids want one thing in the community they live in, where the parents, they're looking at the assessment bill that comes in. So these are all ideas that could possibly get more people involved, but also branching out and looking at other groups that we could possibly leverage to bring in to the activities that go on with Lake Ridge.
Thank you, John. Marie Pelletier.
Okay, well, I agree with a lot of what has been said tonight, mostly everything. Sorry, Chris. I do believe we do put out, the board does put out a really good newsletter. It does have information, activities, what's going on. And I agree with Dave. Every 3 months you meet, and that's when the minutes are approved and put in here. But as far as stimulating homeowner involvement, I do agree about the website. I do believe that involvement, we should ask the people what they want. And I believe doing this by being more visible. We as board members should be out there at the activities that we have, at the special events that we have. I mean, let's be visible. Let's put our name tags on. Let's put, we are members of the board and we are here to serve the homeowners. Let's get out there and talk to the people and see. And I believe that we could do this by what goes on and what is sponsored by the association. This is us. It's our homeowners. This is what we do. So that's really about it. Everybody has said pretty much what I agree with, website and everything.
Can I sell you a house here?
Thank you, Marie. Neil Nelson, please.
Yeah, I too believe that timely communications with members will probably help to spur involvement. I follow, over the past couple of years, I probably follow board activity more than the average homeowner. And personally, I've been a little bit frustrated by some simple things that probably could be fairly easily fixed, like publishing agendas well in advance that have enough details that you would know what's going on in the meeting. And then, and I think the board could do a better job about getting the minutes out quickly afterward. In 2013, it might have been an exception, just a bad year, but it was July or August before any minutes were approved of meetings this year. There ought to be, let's look for ways to just make the information available more quickly after a meeting takes place. But another aspect of involvement is homeowners' participation in community activities. The Lake Ridge Bridge Runners, as an example, is a good example. They sponsor weekly group activities, and they sponsor spring and fall races, which have become each year that have become a tradition. They've done a good job of seeking out participation from the schools, and a good number of kids now participate in the races each year. There's also opportunities I'd like to see more opportunities for members to participate in community gardens, more cleanups on the Occoquan in general, and specifically the Who's Run area, which is bordered by almost entirely by Lake Ridge property. And then we can work further to establish partnerships with the school for other educational opportunities, such as planting native species and bee and butterfly gardens. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. That concludes the 3 questions prepared by the nominating committee. Now we're going to move to our segment where we take questions from the audience, from Lake Ridge homeowners only, please. What we're going to do here, and I will announce the order in which we'll answer these questions. Hala Ayala, Chris Berry, Dave Kaufman, Dave Fram, Aggie McLean, John Massey, Neil Nelson, and Marie Pelletier. If perhaps there is a question from the audience that's directed to one candidate, then that candidate would obviously answer that question. And then using this order, I would ask the other candidates if they wanted to comment. If it's a question for all candidates, then we'll follow the order that I just provided you. Okay? And just as a reminder, 1 minute or less, please. Brief, 1 minute or less. And we do have a timekeeper. So, yes, ma'am, you got your hand up first. You just go right ahead.
Hi, my name is Stephanie, and my question to you jumps, camera as well. My question actually piggybacks on what Neil just said. I would like to know what you would do individually to promote existing clubs that are part of the LRPRA umbrella, and what you would do to create new ones. And as part of this question, I'm going to ask a silent question of everyone here present. Can you name all the clubs that are within LRPRA?
So, do we need any clarification? Okay, Hala, 1 minute or less, please.
I'm going to try to remember everything that you said, but to promote the clubs that already exist, if I can, that exist in Lake Ridge. Again, use our LRPRA website. Technology is the quickest way to reach everyone. You find every teenager, myself being 40 years old as a parent, texting, Facebooking, social networking, communicating in any other way through our newsletter that already exists. Information can get out. We hear about things that happen overseas in a matter of minutes through social media and through technology. So we'll have to utilize our technology to not only familiarize ourselves with those clubs that exist that maybe some I don't even know about, but also to communicate to the community, when things occur and when things happen. So I would, being a techie, maybe I am just kind of biased towards it, but I think it's the quickest way to communicate that information and connect our homeowners in a less costly manner, in a sense.
Thank you. And if a candidate agrees totally with an answer that's already been offered, you can certainly just say that you agree, or you can take your minute. So, Chris Berry.
Why didn't you tell me that?
I can't,
Sorry.
was I next? I cannot name all the clubs. I can't name 1/10 of them, to be honest with you. But I do believe we ought to have more clubs for the youth of Lake Ridge. I think that the youth of Lake Ridge are underserved, and we need to think about amenities for them. such as mountain bike trails, such as zip lines, things that the kids would enjoy, which unfortunately we don't seem to provide for. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Dave Kaufman?
An appropriate point to make a very interesting comment. Right now, I would just like to be able to preserve the clubs we have that are in danger right now that a lot of folks don't know. There's a movement in the community right now that if a service or something that this community is involved in is not revenue neutral or revenue positive, and there isn't a club out there that's revenue neutral or positive, that, well, there might be one or two, but generally, if somebody rents this room right here, the fee that they pay to rent this room doesn't cover the cleanup expenses for it. And there's an argument in the community right now that if this community does something and the other 7,000 homeowners in the community are having to subsidize that particular activity, why should those people have to subsidize that activity? And that argument gets applied to all the clubs and everything across the board. So right now, I can't name the clubs, but as long as there's a reasonable interest in them, I would like to keep the ones we got and keep them alive.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Dave Fram?
Well, I've been involved with some of the clubs being on the board, and I think that one of the issues we got to think about with the clubs is to make sure that we don't take care of them. We guide them along and make sure they're doing the right things for the community. They're set up properly. They can run it themselves. They have their own treasurer, but they fall under our auspices. So you got to be careful. I'm not one to think that we have to go out and come up with new clubs. I think clubs should be generated by their interest, and then we can help them along and make sure that they do it the right way within the purview of our association and all the legal requirements. And second of all, I'm going to answer that solid question you had.
I don't think I have anything really to add. I guess I do a little bit. If you're in a club, you need to own it. I mean, you can't rely on other people to help you all of the time. There's a certain amount of ownership and responsibility that comes with anything. So that's really all I have to say.
Thank you, Andy. John Massey.
I'm not aware of all the clubs, so first thing that pops in my head is to help the community become aware of all the clubs and get the word out there and let them know what that we have to offer as a community. And for new clubs, really, I made a point earlier in the night, surveying the community. What's the community interested in? What would they like to see? Is there an interest for a particular club that does not exist that we could utilize or leverage?
Thank you, John. Neil Nelson?
It so happens that Club News is on page 7 of the newsletter, and I could read you a list of about 10 of them, but I won't. But I am familiar for sure with the Bridge Runners. Do deserve probably some special recognition because they've been revived in recent years, and there's an interest there, and that's a very active group. And I'd also like to mention, it's not specifically a club, but there's a volunteer group that's very active and had a key role on the dog park. It wouldn't have happened without the volunteers. I mean, they actually got contributions that put the fence up, that prepared the park, and they are maintaining it as well. And they're on the fundraiser this spring in Lake Ridge Park as well. But anyway, I look for the leagues are very active in the swim leagues in the summer. That's a good fit with our pools. The soccer leagues are active. It's kind of hard to know what other demands are out there, but a survey would be a good suggestion.
Thank you, Neil. Marie Pelletier?
Okay, mostly everything has been said, but I also have a list of clubs here, and yes, I know, isn't that cool? We have summer camps, we have 7 clubs, including a swim team, jogging club, youth programs, including soccer, t-ball, football, swim lessons, special events, Taste of Lake Ridge, wine tasting, etc. We do have a lot, and I'm sure any member on the board would be open to any suggestions that anybody has. We could certainly look into it. We're certainly open to anything, and I think it would be good to have something new, something vibrant, something to offer whatever specialty group there is within the community.
Thank you. Do we have, yes ma'am?
I've lived in Lake Ridge for 27 years, been a homeowner for 27 years, and now my daughter is also a homeowner in Lake Ridge, and I really like this community. I don't see any problem with the fees that we're paying at this time. I think they're low.
We understand the question.
I understand.
Okay, Paula?
What amenities can we provide our aging community, our senior citizens in this community? Am I correct to summarize that?
I think that's
From the survey that was performed, or?
Which you've never seen.
Okay. Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Fire away in the dark. Have fun.
Okay. It's ironic that that question's been answered. My grandmother lives in a senior citizen community that I go and visit every Sunday, and I take her shopping. They have things like shuttles. They have things that they offer, like a specific calendar for the aging community, for those members who cannot walk themselves or shop themselves. They get volunteers to run the shuttle, drop by a certain point, in the community and pick up these members, or drop by their homes or get them escorted to a certain point. I would like to see more involvement in that capacity in the future. That may be something out of our scope right now, but that's a suggestion. And maybe some more activities that are senior citizen related, bingo, things like that.
Club.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Chris Berry?
I'm afraid I have no suggestions.
Okay. Dave Kaufman?
Oh, boy.
1 minute or less, Dave.
Okay. Quite frankly, I have not seen the results of that survey that you're addressing. The last 18 months, the board, in my opinion, got hijacked on a particular subject, and we have spent a tremendous amount of time on a particular subject. Quite frankly, I think it needs to be explored. I'm willing to explore it. It all is going to come back to the dollars and cents, which also goes back to the assessments and funding various things. If we can work it responsibly into the budget, absolutely.
Thank you, Dave. Dave Frem? Thank you. Aggie McLean?
Well, I do need to say that all seniors don't necessarily need to be shuttled to the mall. Just to remind you, but for me personally, I think there are opportunities to sort of address some of the things that I would be looking for, and maybe some of you, I would like to see simple things like, how about giving us an hour on a Saturday night with no kids at the pool? I mean, simple little things that really don't cost any money, but it would be kind of nice, and I'm not suggesting you take away from the kids, but things like that. But other than that, I'm getting hiking trails, get out and do it. If it's there, go. That's just how I see it. So I don't have a lot to add to that, except I am mobile.
That's good. Thank you, Aggie. John Massey?
Just want to preface, somebody mentioned 32. There's nothing wrong with being 32. I just turned 33, though.
Well, there is something.
I think they all make great points, but again, I mentioned a point earlier of looking at the demographics of our community and the changing demographics, and as you mentioned, a potential aging population within our community, and making sure that we are addressing the needs of each and every individual, but also each and every demographic as well. So we're not leaving anyone out. That's very important.
Thank you, John. Neil Nelson?
Yeah, I do recall the survey. I think it was published a couple times in the spring of early in 2013. In the newsletter once, and then followed up again the next month or a couple months later. I don't know that the board ever saw the results of that. I haven't. Seniors and most everybody enjoys walking, like walking outdoors, outdoor recreation. Certainly support that, and I think people would be interested in community gardens as well.
Thank you. Marie Pelletier?
Okay, just very quickly, I feel that maybe for the seniors, seminars, getting information out there as to what really affects us, and yes, I'm a senior. But seminars and information about aging, about finances, about retirement, about opportunities that are out there for people who have so much experience and so much work behind them, that we could offer this to other people, to maybe our teens, give our experiences out there, have these seminars, have the people come and get information out there. I think we could help educate and maybe make the transition easier for a lot of senior citizens.
Thank you. Gentleman here?
I have a question specifically for Mr. Berry. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. And it's prefaced by a little bit of a comment, just real quickly. I'm a member of the Architectural Committee, and I've talked to the other members of the Architectural Committee, and I don't think any of us ever made complaints on our neighbors prior to being appointed to the board. That was the result of the tally and vote we did, or the little conversation. So I guess my question for Mr. Berry is, if you think it's civilly responsible to make comments on the record, as you did in the Lake Ridge Observer, or the Old Ridge Observer, that were pretty much based on rumor, and if you think doing so, jumping the gun without doing the research, is a sign of a proper leader, I think that was a little irresponsible, and I want to know if you think that's a good sign.
Thank you. Just the questions. Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
I'm glad, thank you for the question. What I said was something that a former member of the Architectural Committee told me. He told me how he was appointed to the board. I didn't make this up. My neighbor told me this. And if you like, after this meeting, I'll give you his name.
Do we have any comments from Hala on that question?
No, sir.
How about Chris? I'm sorry, Chris, you kicked it off. Dave Kaufman
I have nothing to add.
and Dave Fram.
Well, I mentioned something earlier about that, and individual, I'm sure that the process is not done that way, to look at certain people that complain, and whether that person was brought on, there's probably more to that story, because we were the ones, if anybody had put them on, it was us, and we didn't see anything wrong. I don't care how many times the guy complains. If we look at the thing and it looks okay, we approved it, so look at me.
Thank you. Aggie?
I don't think to add.
John Massey?
No, sir.
Neil Nelson?
I think it's a valid point that the Architectural Committee will become more important as the community ages, in addition to the standards for the existing homes. It's foreseeable at some point that people are going to want to rebuild eventually, and then the Architectural Committee will be has to be aware of how to handle new construction in the community.
Marie Pelletier?
I do want to say that when I received this in the mail and I read the article in the Old Ridge Observer, I really was concerned about some of the pledges that were made here. I did go to management and some board members, and I did ask about these. I did ask, what is happening here? Are there closed meetings? How is the Architectural Committee appointed? And they were very honest, open, and forthright with the information. There was nothing secret. There was nothing underhanded. It was very professionally done. They were very open with my questions.
Thank you, Marie. Yes, ma'am?
I will also preface that I am on the Architectural Committee. And I guess, Mr. Nelson, my question to you is, you brought up about qualifications, and in the future with the people on the board would have to be knowledgeable about construction. That is not, if you know anything about the Architectural Committee, that is not our job. We are not architects. We do not do zoning. We do not do anything in that. We are totally on the standards of the community as far as aesthetics and how whatever people want to improve with their homes. We've had tons and tons of additions, requirements, or requests lately. People are staying in their homes in Lake Ridge because they love Lake Ridge, and they want to stay here and they want to add on to their homes and such like that. So I guess my question to you is, why would someone on the Architectural Committee need a requirement to know about construction?
No, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry if that's the impression. The county governs construction standards, the design and construction manual. You get permits for construction in the county. To try to be more clear, my point was that it may be the case in the future that the Architectural Committee will be making decisions about what is architecturally acceptable in our community on new construction. And that may be different than, the developers built, and those houses that were incorporated into the association. And there just may be some different choices in the future on new construction.
Hala, would you like to comment on that?
No, I agree with what Neil said. You know, there may be some anomalies where having that expertise on board will be helpful to the development of a community or additions or amenities. that we
Chris
need.
Berry? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Chris Berry?
No,
Dave Kaufman?
Yeah, I'd like to throw in 2 cents on this. One, Lake Ridge, to the best of my knowledge, is full. There are no available lots, spaces, acreage, other than the acreage that LERPA owns, which is dedicated for common elements. So there will be no new construction per se in our borders. B, Bob and Jackie Smith, my generic human beings, might do a bump out addition on the back of their house. And when they write that request to the architectural committee, if they basically look at it and evaluate it within the guidelines that exist today, as long as it's well thought out, doesn't have 5 turrets, is painted Pepto-Bismol pink, and they evaluate it within the guidelines they have, I think that's perfectly reasonable. And that seems to be how it's being done. And once again, it goes back to my comment earlier about the values and the covenants that we all accepted when we moved in here.
Thank you, Dave. Dave Frem? Aggie McLean? John Massey?
No, sir.
Neil Nelson? I'm sorry, Neil, you kicked it off. Marie Pelletier? Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Yes, sir.
Hi, everybody. Chalmers Hood. I think I may predate everybody here. I got here before Oakwood Drive was built. The name's Hood. 10 years Boy Scout work at Seas. Helped build the little the playground here. And after many years of requesting, Lake Ridge finally turned to us and said, would you put the Red Cross swim program in for us? So I'm half of the summer swim thing, and I'm trying to help Lake Ridge think through the pressure for a water polo team. Not that I want to do it, but there. 2 things, again, since '72, 2 shockers come to me. I don't care who addresses it, it could even be done by show of hands. $500,000 plus for lawyers' fees when we didn't take a case to the Supreme Court sounds like an absolute whopper. Accountability. Are you going to tell us who got the money? Are you going to tell us what it was spent for? And is there some kind of oversight of this? I'm thinking Madoff. If we overpaid, is there a pullback? Second whopper, this business of restricted citizen access to common ground. I'm beginning to think about things like the Wild West, when people moved out and grabbed the water and the land, and the other ranchers, had to do without. Are you going to publish a set of rules that says how we can all do this? I'm assuming everybody gets a shot at it if we do it, but it's something that I think it's a cliff issue, and I'm hoping it'll be clear if you do it. Comments? Anything?
Well, we'll let the board candidates answer that. Do you understand the two-phase question, I guess? What he's done is he's not 2 questions.
Yes.
Which is
He's
fine.
a sneaky guy.
Which is fine.
I think the second one I do need clarity on. The first one I understand, and the second one I just need a little bit more clarity on as to what your question is about.
Can I address the second part of it?
Okay.
Let's wait and have some order to it.
Well, I can address your first part, because the second one I don't have familiarity with, and it would require me to do some research, so I just don't want to say something and not have done the homework for it. The first part we have, when I say me, myself, Neil Nelson and Chris Berry have done research on the invoices. We've asked the invoices for the lawyer. We've asked for what work has been performed. There is no specifics on there, but we do have a list, and we have it here with us if you'd like to see it after the meeting, as to the invoices and what was being charged, but there's no specifics. So I can't tell you what those were. I can tell you we just have the invoices, and we do have the amount that was spent for each year.
So we're gonna go with one question.
That's fine.
Okay, so the question is about the lawyer's fees and the specifics of those. Chris Berry,
No, the total in the last 5 years is $835,000. That's what the total is. And I'm not on the board, so I can't justify it.
My thought is, both of those things
I'm
could
sorry.
be put in the bulletin, that's
Mr.
all I'm
Hood,
saying.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
you've asked your question.
I'm just clarifying.
I
Put it in the
understand,
bulletin.
but let's
Yeah.
let them try and answer it as they've heard. Dave Kaufman.
I am on the board. I do have the information. I don't know that this is the appropriate venue. The quick answer is the majority of that money has been spent in rewriting the documents in coordination with the legal counsel. A lot of time and energy and money has been spent. What a lot of people may not know is Lake Ridge is in the top 10% of HOAs by size in the nation. We are large, we are big, we cover an expansive amount of ground. We are trying to rewrite documents that are 40-plus years old, bring them into the 21st century, make them relevant, and this is back-breaking work, and quite frankly, a lot of people are watching us try to do it. We have excellent legal counsel here that has been with this organization prior to me becoming a member of the board. My understanding is they are actually some of the best in the state at HOA law, and quite frankly, for who we are and the significance that we don't want to screw it up, we actually have the best counsel we can get, and I do believe it has been budgeted for, so that we're not going into debt to do this. We're trying to do a one-time thing for the benefit of this entire association and do it well.
Thank you, Dave. Dave Frem.
Well, I think when you hear numbers thrown out like that, you got to look into it a little closer to see if they're accurate. But let's just go on the assumption that they're in that frame. Part of the costs were for the documents, which is an unusual thing that's come up, and I think the high part of that's over with. The other part is what we pay the attorneys to take our claims to court. And that's an ongoing thing, and that goes up and down depending on how many dead accounts we have. That's our hammer. To me, I think that's important. So even if there's another law firm, they would still be doing the same thing. I don't know how much we could, and we could look at it. We can seriously look at these legal costs more closely, but by and large, that's an ongoing cost. But as you start to look at going forward, or even you'll see costs going down in the legal area. And it's gone down for a couple of reasons. Temporarily, it's gone down is because this in-house staff has done a hard effort to get collections in so that there isn't as many cases out there. But they may build up, so you'll see blips and so forth. Now, is there, I think you said, is there a fallback, or is there?
Thank you, Dave.
Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
Aggie?
I guess first, the board and the organization, their first responsibility is the fiduciary responsibility. And although we may have questions about how money was spent and we want to see invoices and those things, my personal opinion is if you haven't been involved, if you haven't asked, then you really need to take those steps first. You need to be involved. If you want to have any kind of control over the outcome, you need to be involved. So that's just all I have to add.
Before you go on real quick,
I'm sorry.
come to the Finance Committee meeting, please.
Thank you, Dave. John Massey.
I haven't seen any comparative data on Lake Ridge compared to other communities as far as general counsel fees. I think it's important that a community of this size maintains a robust general counsel, and I believe we do have a robust general counsel. But I do not think it is an unreasonable request at all to ask for transparency in the fees that are put forward towards general counsel or anything else for that matter within the community.
Thank you, John. Neil Nelson.
Yeah, you can find the legal fees in the annual audit statements that are online. And I've got them for the past 5 years right here, and the numbers are validated. They're right here. And it bears looking at. Maybe there's too much reliance on legal advice. But if I may, the other question was, I think about...
No, Neil, we'll just stick
okay.
with that first question, as everyone else had the same opportunity to answer that. Any other comments on the legal fees? Marie Pelletier?
Okay, when I first saw this about the attorney fees, I, once again, not being on the board, not familiar with the situation, I went to management and asked about it, and once again, they were extremely forthcoming in their information and what they told me about the legal fees. And really, I am married to an attorney. He's a judge with the EPA, so he's very familiar with attorneys, attorney fees, and how things operate. In order to get a well-qualified individual who is an expert in their field, this is what has to be done. You are going to pay for that information and for that expertise. He's not an expert in real estate, HOA. Thank you, I was going to say HOV, which is on the brain. He's not an expert in that. You have to hire an expert. We do need that type of representation. Apparently this woman, she assists with the general management in dealing with claims, legal issues. She goes to court in collections, liens, special projects, rewriting the documents. Apparently, from what I understand, she has been at every meeting for the revision of the documents. This costs money, and you want expertise, and you want it done right. I agree with Dave that if we're going to do it, it should be done right the first time, and it should be done at a high level of expertise.
Thank you, Marie. Just homeowners, if we have some guests here, this is for homeowners only. You could ask your question. If you want to take just a real quick moment to try to set the stage for that question, that's fine. And please restrict your question to one question in fairness to other people here who also want to ask a question. Yes, sir.
I'm Alan Ross. I've been in Lake Ridge 33 years, and like many of you, have moved from one house to another house in Lake Ridge because my family grew. I've loved it. I've always felt like the dues that I was paying, I was getting fair value for those dues because it's a great neighborhood, and I know that those dues are one of the things that makes that happen. Like any election, if people that are running for an office, and one of the things that I hear them say is, I'm going to cut your taxes, and I'm going to improve your services. And so my question is, how would you do that? How are you going to cut the fees, but improve the services? Specifics.
Thank you. Holland.
Well, I've worked on budgets before, and you have to take some time to analyze what currently exists on the budget and reassess what we're asking our community for, meeting their assessments and what we're funding. So you would have to reevaluate what we're doing. That could go from, the lawyer's fees for covenants and how much we ask her to be present, reducing those types of monetary expenses. We could maybe reduce, some of the things that we do. I would just say the fees that we have, are, like you said, are equitable to other neighborhoods. We do get a lot for our money, but we also spend a lot as well. So I would say we would have to revisit what we have on the budget and make cut costs or make compromises if necessary. I can't say it would be successful because this is a 9-board member, volunteer member, and we all have different visions. And so I would work with the board to reduce costs if we could reduce those costs.
Thank you. Chris Baird.
Well, one thing, if we're going to spend all this money on legal fees, why don't we just hire our own lawyer? I mean, we are now spending the equivalent of 2 lawyer salaries for what we're paying for part-time legal advice. I mean, that's one big saving right there. Got right here the fiscal year 2014 budget. Has anybody here ever done a web page? What do you pay for it? You know what Lake Ridge pays for their web page every year? $38,426. Absolutely shocking amount. There's a savings right there. So I'll give you those 2.
Thank you. Dave Kaufman.
Quite frankly, I don't honestly believe that I can look you in the face and say that A, I can lower what we bill you each quarter, and B, provide more services. I think that's a complete and utter crock. I would like to see us get to the point where we have updated the playgrounds, kept things safe, are maintaining. We've got enough in the reserve funds that at the end of the year, the accountants are coming to us and saying that you have enough money in the reserve funds that if you have a catastrophic loss or you need to repave 14 miles of the roads that the association owns, that you have enough money on the books to do that without doing a special assessment to all the homeowners. I would like us to get to the point where we're fiscally up there enough that perhaps we can flatline the bloody thing and keep it from going up 5% a year. My father taught me everything is death and taxes, and everything eventually goes up, and if you don't pay for it today, it's going to cost more tomorrow.
Thank you. Dave Graham?
It's a fair question. I think we go back and forth here. Some people say that the dues is fair. Some people say it's high. You know, it's really low. It's a very good rate. And I don't see where there may be some times when we may lower the rate depending on how well our investments do. We've done it in the past where we had no increase. That's a possibility. But my only thing is when you think about the 5% or the 4% increase that you have, I've always looked at that as what value does that add to my house? And if you start paring away at that increase, you're going to have things that are going to make Lake Ridge less beautiful, look nice, and that's what you have to play with. So I think there's a big value in what we have there.
Thank you, Dave. Aggie McClain?
Quickly, if you're creating a vision and a mission, you have goals and objectives that are tied to that. The things that are in the budget that aren't supporting those goals and objectives, those things go out. If there's anything left over, you could reallocate it, but basically if it's not supporting the goals and objectives that tie to the vision and mission, they don't get funded. And I think that's a possibility of how to address that.
John Massey?
Yeah, I want to kind of echo what Dave Kaufman mentioned. I do think it may be unreasonable to make a promise to cut costs, cut assessments while increasing or enhancing services. I really think you have to look at everything case-by-case basis. More utilization of the reserve fund. I mentioned earlier in the night the creation or establishment of a capital fund to allow and enable homeowners with the financial means to be able to voluntarily contribute to that fund to enhance their community. I think there are multiple ways to look at increasing the Lake Ridge assets, but as far as the assessments go, you really have to look at everything on a case-by-case basis. I don't think it's reasonable to say that, you know, we're going to cut all these costs, but your services are going to stay great and be even better.
Thank you, John. Neil Nelson?
In regard to the trail, the county funding stream was actually started in FY12. It was a FY12 to FY17 capital improvement program, and if we had gotten the agreement in place, we could have been taking advantage of that funding stream for 2 years. You know, we are taxpayers in the county, and that's how some of the tax dollars could have come back to our community. And there are volunteer groups willing to work on some of these amenities that we've mentioned as well tonight.
Thank you. Marie Pelletier.
Well, the first thing that I would like to do is, if I am elected to the board, is study the budget more closely. I did receive a copy of the budget, once again from management, who is very forthcoming. And I would like to go through these things and see where the expenses are, what we could do to better give our homeowners what they need. Plus, also, this community is very old. We need money to maintain it. We need money to update it. So I feel that the assessments are fair. We live in a beautiful neighborhood. People love it here. I think it's very fair. But I would like to study the budget a bit more before I could give anybody specifics as to what I would do. I just need more information.
Just a couple of more questions. Go to Brian.
Yes. Do I need to stand? Well, thank you for calling me. I've been inspired by candidate Christopher Berry because he's really set a high bar for transparency and disclosure, and I think that's important. But he didn't answer David Fram's question about have people been receiving financial support or assistance from outside parties, because they wanted to know who they were representing and the people on board. Now, there's nothing illegal with that, but I think setting that bar would be good. So if you could just say yes or no, and if you say yes, please explain who, what, and for what. If no, just go right through, and it'll take just about a minute.
I'd be happy to. I have, as we have stated, that 3 of us are on a slate. And anybody in Lake Ridge is willing to help us get elected. We have not ever received any funds from anybody outside Lake Ridge.
But you have from within.
Well, I just got through saying that we would accept help from anybody in Lake Ridge. That's all. And I'm sure anybody on this, behind this table would accept any help from anybody in Lake Ridge.
David?
Okay,
I
I'm sorry.
have,
Hala, would you answer that question?
I'm self-funded. I am on the slate with Chris and Neil, and everything I've done was self-funded.
And it's perfectly legal.
I'm sorry.
Perfectly
I'm sorry,
honest.
Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, you've answered the question.
Sorry.
I'm done.
Dave Kaufman.
I have not necessarily run a campaign. I have not spent any money on this other than being interviewed with the Association newspaper and being accosted in Giant in the frozen food section. I would like to elaborate, though, in the last 30 seconds. I think the perspective is here, on the board, we're supposed to be 9 different viewpoints and get a consensus and make a decision and argue things out. I believe there is an appearance of an organization or an opinion trying to start getting a block of one opinion on this board, and that very soon, if that's the case, then we do not have a breadth of opinions on this board. I myself am funding myself. I bring my own opinion, such as it may be, to all meetings.
Thank you. Dave Fred.
I have not received any funds, or nor will take any funds from anybody inside the community.
Aggie McLean.
I've not received funds and would not consider taking funds. I'm volunteering for this position because it's a volunteer position and I want to help my community. That's my motivation, is to do good for the community.
John Massey.
Echo Aggie's point, I have not received any financial contributions. I would not accept any financial contributions. This is a volunteer position to enhance the community, and that's what I plan to do if I'm on.
Neil Nelson.
Yes, as Chris said, there has been some support from members of the community, and as Alice said, much self-funding.
Marie Pelletier.
I agree with Aggie and John. I have not received any money. I have not spent any of my own money, but this is an incredible amount of money to spend on a volunteer, non-paying job. This is well over several $1,000s. This is incredible for one block of opinions and not a diversity of opinions and people.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a young family in the neighborhood.
That's the political flyer that was mailed.
Yeah, I want to know what that refers to.
Okay. Have we all seen the flyer? Hala, can you explain?
I have no comment.
You have no comment. Chris Perry.
Sure. And maybe everybody would like to learn something here about what is in the revision to the governing documents. Because in the revision to the governing documents, there is a new category of common area, and it is called reserved common area. And this allows portions of the common area to be reserved for one or some, but not all homeowners. And that is something that's in the revised documents that will go to the homeowners for a vote, who knows when, but one day.
Okay. Dave Kaufman.
As with many things, there are many, many things in those revised documents. It's been a year and a half since I personally have worked with the Documents Committee. I have been on the Trails Committee working with the county, moving that one along. So I don't have firsthand information on that particular paragraph, sir. The plan for the whole revision, though, with large explanations, is to submit it to you, the homeowners, with loads of documentation on what the changes are, what they would mean, and what they would affect, and hopefully enough of you, I believe it's 75% plus one, will actually say there's merit in those documents, and then they could potentially come into effect. Until that occurs, it's a moot point. But I don't have the specific answer to you.
Thank you. Dave Fram.
Well, I think that we'd have, I don't have a good answer for you there. It's not, what you're hearing, reading in that thing is not the intent of the committee to have special private little areas. It's not, I guarantee you. And there was one thing in on the newspaper that said we're going to, somebody said we don't want you to sell common ground to help pay for the salaries of the staff. Where'd that come from? You know, we're not going to sell common ground. I don't know where it came from. And plus, we don't even need to do that to pay for the salaries. We're fine the way we are.
Aggie McLean?
I don't have anything to add to that.
John Massey?
I have not seen the documentation, but I do not believe that there should be any type of policy that would discriminate or enable certain groups of people preference to access an area that should be available for all Lake Ridge residents when others cannot.
Marie Pelletier?
I just need to know one thing. When we talk about the common areas, are these parking spaces considered the common areas?
Yes, in the townhomes.
So, in the townhomes? So would this be open to anybody instead of us having our reserved parking spaces? That would be a common area that anybody could park there? If a family has 3-4 cars, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the documents, I don't know, but I was just wondering if the parking spaces are considered common areas.
Once again, it's in the revisions. It may or may not ever be passed.
Okay.
So the governing documents the proposed changes do include that statement about reserving some common area. So the point it brings out is that people need to understand what the impacts are of these changes, and that needs to be publicized. Who benefits, who doesn't, in regard to that change? Now, and if it's so unclear that we don't know what it means, then maybe that proposed revisions need to be clarified. So that's one recommendation. And yes, after talking to Jan, she has said that she thinks the intent was to improve the parking situation in townhomes for people who are handicapped. But that, you don't get that from looking at the proposed revision.
If I may clarify.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hood. If you have a question, we'll be glad to entertain that question. This is a question opportunity for the candidates from the audience. Is everybody fine with?
I would like to hear explanation on all of the proposed changes.
Well, not tonight. But would you like to? Do I hear anyone on as a candidate objecting to hearing some clarification from Ms. Hood and the President?
I don't think this is the appropriate venue.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any other questions? Any other questions from our homeowners? Okay, we will move to our last part of our Meet the Candidates night. We're going to ask for closing remarks. And this is our order for that. Marie Pelletier, Dave Fram, Hala Ayala, Chris Berry, Neil Nelson, Aggie McLean, and John Massey. Please, if you could, condense your closing as much as possible, and we'll start with Marie Pelletier, please.
I just have one comment before I get into my closing remarks.
I'm sorry, Marie. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If people are willing to spend thousands of dollars on this, why would you complain about our assessments, which are the lowest in a lot of the areas around us? Thank you. Okay. Lake Ridge is a community that we all call home. We are residents, workers, and commuters. We as homeowners have the right to return home to pleasant surroundings and effective day-to-day operation of running this community. If elected to be a member of the board, I will strive to cultivate new ways to expand a sense of community, provide services, amenities, and protect home values. We are all searching for ways to improve. There are no magic answers. We have to look at where we've been, where we are now, how did we get here? We have to improve on what works and discard what doesn't. We have to build on what we have. With the collaboration of the board of directors and homeowners, we can set our goals and work to achieve them. Lake Ridge has always been a well-maintained and pleasant place to live. I would like to see this continue and improve. I am a candidate, and I'm offering my experience, my integrity, and my time to work for the good of the Lake Ridge homeowners. thank you for coming this evening, and I really appreciate your patience and your time.
Thank you, Marie. Dave Friend.
I do like being on the board. I've enjoyed coming to meetings. I usually sometimes have great ideas in my head, and then I come in and 8 other people say that's not right. And that's good. That's the way it should be, because that means that's a good representation of the community, because the people on the board are a representation of the from all walks of life, different professions, all kinds of types of people, and I've been able to work with them very well, and I find sometimes our best meetings are when it's 5 to 4. This is horrible, and I'm telling you right now, who's ever, all the thousands of people listen to me, this effectively is run by one person, and it's going to effectively have, after two turnovers, this board can be controlled effectively by one person. And if that's what you want, you can read this and want to believe it. It's all a bunch of crap. But if you want to believe it, you can. But the fact is that when it comes down to it, a couple of years, you'll have one person guiding this board of directors. You won't have the independence that you thought you had, people of Lake Ridge. I guarantee you, I recommend do not vote for these candidates, because they're all under one person's thumb. Thank you.
Thank you. Hala Ayala.
Thank you.
Yes.
I am truly honored to have been able to partake in this evening's event. This community is something that I take enormous pride in, hence my flyer that I think is a good representation of who I am. I'm very proud of what we've done. We are independent thinkers. We've communed together to put strength in numbers, and this doesn't necessarily mean we agree on everything, but we come to a conclusion that we want to support one another and we want to support our community members. There are many issues we shared this evening that we collectively as board members need to address in order to improve our community, build our relationships, and to encourage outsiders to live in our community. As a candidate for this board, I will honor my word to be an advocate on your behalf. I will work with this association to have more of an outreach to our community, help shift and lighten our community morale. More importantly, we need to ensure our homeowners are receiving every benefit that they are entitled to. This ranges from improvements to our community to transparency. My hope tonight is that I provided you enough information so that you feel confident that Chris Berry, Neil Nelson, and myself are the right choices for the LRPRA board. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Berry.
Yeah, thank you again for coming, and if you've enjoyed the fireworks, so have I. I don't know what people are complaining about. We've got a flyer going. I believe that the board has approved an excessive amount of money to market the revision of the documents. I mean, they understand that you've got to market something. There are 2 people on this who are up for re-election. If you're trying to get on the board, you have to face the fact that there are 2 people already on the board, and it's going to take a little publicity to get your names known. I mean, this is the American way. So everything I feel I've done is honorable. There's not a word of crap on anything I have written. So please elect the people to the Lake Ridge board like Hala, Neil. These are a good governance slate who pledge to be effective stewards of your homeowners assessment. Thank you.
Thank you. Neil Nelson.
I've enjoyed over the years participating in civic activities and community groups, and I independently participating, and I kind of view this as an extension of that. You get a sense that of my interest. I was involved with the Conservation Alliance and helped bring the Virginia, or the Prince William chapter of the Master Naturalists to the county. A founding member of the Trails and Streams Coalition. We've worked on outdoor recreation projects all over the county. And I'm also on the Trails and Blueways Council now, which is an advisory body to the Board of Supervisors and the Parks Department. I would like the opportunity to serve my fellow Lake Ridge homeowners, working with Chris and Hal on good governance, and the shared interest in transparency and more community involvement. Thank you.
Thank you. Aggie McLean.
Okay. Well, I've heard a lot here today, a little bit more than I expected, but it's all been good. I'd like to just thank everybody for this opportunity and restate the reason I'm here is I live in the community, I'm a stakeholder in the community, I'm willing to participate, I want to do more, and I am committed to doing a better job than I've done, doing a good job for my community with honesty and unbiased. Thank you.
Thank you. And John Massey.
Yes, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I'd also like to thank the current board members as well as the nominating committee and my fellow candidates that are up here with me for the last couple of hours. I don't have all the answers. Everything that we've talked about tonight, I won't tell you they're going to be fixed overnight or I'm going to wave some magic wand and they're going to be taken care of. I'm not going to make any promises, but what I will tell you is that you will have transparency, and I will do my best to represent the community, represent the homeowners. This is a volunteer position to represent the people that live within this community. That's my goal. I will work tirelessly to do that. I've proven to be a problem solver with my previous jobs, with my current job that I'm in right now. And that's what I try to do. I try to solve problems. I try to make things better. But it all comes back to the community. It all comes back to the residents. So I work at the luxury of the residents and what the residents want. There's no agenda or there's no, I think we should do this, I think we should do that. I will recommend ideas, but ultimately I will try to speak for the residents and citizens of Lake Ridge. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Think about everything you've heard tonight. Vote your conscience. Select the people and names that you think are going to actually give you the best input to help Lake Ridge improve, stay fiscally responsible, and be a place that we all want to call home and go home to. Other than that, good night, so long, farewell.
Thank you, Dave. Marion Wood, thank you, Martha Nelson, Linda Helby, Mike Younger, Comcast. And on behalf of LRPRA, I would like to thank all of you for attending tonight. We've had a great crowd. And also, in particular, I would like to thank our candidates for taking an interest in the community by volunteering to serve on the board of directors. And I encourage all association members to vote in the election. Whatever you do, please vote. Ballots and letters containing online voting information were mailed earlier this month. If you did not receive your ballot or online voting letter, please contact the association office. Association members will also have the option of voting online in the 2014 board elections by going to the Lake Ridge Association website. Election results will be announced at the 42nd annual meeting of the membership on February 11 at 8 o'clock at the Tall Oaks Community Center. At this meeting, you will also have the opportunity to vote at the meeting if you haven't voted. You're not allowed to vote twice. This meeting will include refreshments and drawings of prizes for association members who have voted. We would like to extend an invitation to you, your family, neighbors, and friends to attend our annual meeting. Thank you and good night.
All right.